welcome to Involving Element. Please state your name and what would you like to talk about today?
My name is Dasmine, and we're going to be talking about Yourdaz NYC, my art business.
All right. So let's get things rolling. What convinced you to start Yourdaz.nyc?
I've actually wanted to start this for quite some time. I grew up doing a lot of art, and I went to art schools my whole life, and I really wanted to be an artist for pretty much forever. And this year during 2020 and like all the things that have come with like the George Floyd BLM movement and just like being stuck inside in quarantine all day, I just figured that time is now. Life is short, and I can't be spending time doing things I just feel like I'm being forced to do. And I felt like art is my only outlet, and I'm like, it's the time to start is now.
That's amazing. I like that. The time is to start now. And at all times, right, we have a pandemic and we also have a huge social movement going on, right? So, I mean, I think that could really get us moving. It could really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like generate whatever motivation that we needed, right? But like you said, you've been doing art your whole life, right? So was that did these particular things make it a little easier for you to just jump in and say, you know what, I don't know how this pandemic's going to work out, or I don't know how this social issue is going to be worked out, but I got to just do something. And while I'm living on this earth, I have to just make this happen. This is part of me. This is important.
Yeah, I just figured that with, sorry.
It's fine.
I just figured that with so much uncertainty in the world, that the only thing I know is art, and that is what I knew for sure will always be in my life. And so I figured like, in order for me to just like have peace of mind with 2020, that like doing art again and starting back up and was the only way for me to like express my emotions. And like, especially with like the George Floyd BLM movement, I feel like I just had so much to say, and I had so much feeling during that time that I just really wanted to be a part of this movement with the Black and Brown community.
So how did this shape you as an entrepreneur? Because this is fairly new ground for you, right? It's pretty recent.
Very, very new. I don't think I expected it to be something. I didn't expect it to be a business or anything. I just kind of wanted to make art, and I think I was getting a lot of traction with certain people liking my work and wanting it on apparel, and I was getting so many requests to just sell things. So then I figured, oh yeah, I can sell things for fun. It'll be cute. Like, it'll be like my friends and family. And soon enough, I ended up joining a bunch of different artist communities, and then I ended up making a website, and now this is like a thing. It's funny that you even say entrepreneur too, because I still don't feel like an entrepreneur, because it still feels like I'm just doing this like for my own sanity and my like just it's like still my own outlet and form of expression. Like even just like having like a business is my form of expression. So I guess I'm still trying to figure it out, and how I feel about like me as an entrepreneur as well.
You're doing it. That's all I can tell you. But that's awesome though. You can follow basically that old expression, like follow your heart and you'll find your dreams, or something like that. And and we're always kind of like skeptical about it too, which is pretty cool. Like same thing with like podcasting too. I was like, yeah, I'll just do this on the weekend or something, you know, or I'll just, you know, it wound up being like a 3-year journey. But with you, it's great because I just found out about you in the moment. So what's cool about this is I get to see all the little baby steps, so to speak, like when you started just with this, and then you start going towards maybe something more out of your comfort zone. Like I went to your website recently and I'm like, wow, this is like, for someone who just started, it seems very like straight to the point. You know what you're there for. There's really no like misunderstanding, like why am I on this website? Like you're there to like you say, like it's almost like a window to you, right? It's like an opportunity to be like, oh, this is how she expresses herself. This is how, like, did you also do the website yourself?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. So
I had some help from my friend Sue Hang over here too.
Hey, everybody.
But for the most part, yeah, I did do it myself.
That's cool. So the reason why I'm highlighting this, because like literally anybody who wants to step in the game right now, like you don't really need much to do that. So what did you realize that you actually needed to actually solidify this idea?
Ooh, that is a good question. Um, to You're asking like how I like the steps I took to start this, right?
Yeah, sure. Because I know a lot of people be like, what do I need to start something like that? Because I've never made a website. Maybe they do art, but maybe they've never done it in that fashion before.
Like for me, I think just the sheer willpower to learn new things. Because I've never made a website before, and like I've never sold apparel, and I've never done any of these things. But it's doing your research, and it's just like learning how to brand. I guess that's another thing. And it's just wanting to like throw yourself into something that you actually want to do. You know, like I feel like it doesn't take a lot of skill. It just takes a lot of motivation.
I like that. That's really empowering for a lot of people, especially me. Like if I was thinking about doing apparel right now, I feel a lot more confident that you said that, because I would have been like frightened to do something like that. I'm like, I don't know, apparel. I don't
We
know.
can talk about your designs later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But how would you define your art, or define your outlet? How would you, if you had to put a category to it, or a genre, or a name to it, or how would you describe it to somebody?
My art?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to think of my art as like a juxtaposition between like color and like serious topics. So basically what that means is like the colors that I like to use are very bright, beautiful colors. And when you initially see it, you're like, oh, pretty, cute, girly, whatever. But then when you like look deep into it, you actually see like there is meaning behind it. It's not just pretty colors put together and like a portrait of some lady. It's there's more to it, and there's pain to it. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, like, especially with social media. It's like this sugar-coated world where everyone seems very happy and beautiful filters and everything is like perfect, right?
Right.
But then when you look deeper into it and you know people's story, you realize that there's more to it. So I think that is where a lot of inspiration comes from with my artwork. But yeah.
Thank you. This reminds me of that piece that you have. It's with the guns, pink guns. That's the piece that you made a while back, maybe during the summertime, or
yeah.
I know it was definitely warm. That's for sure.
So I'll get into those, but like for example, a lot of my we can go into pink guns.
Okay. So, wherever you like to go, it's fine.
Yeah. So like obviously so I made these pink guns that have like all these floral painted print on it, and they're shooting out little fake flowers out of them, right? And the reason why I made them was because I was trying to show like the stereotypes between like men and women. And so like you never look at a gun and be like, oh, like women shouldn't be shooting, like women should not be like using guns, like that's a man's thing, that's like a man's hobby, like hunting and shooting, whatever. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not really into any of those things, but I just wanted to use this inanimate object as like a way to that symbolizes a gender role, right? You know, or like you'd look at, I don't know, let's say,
that's beautiful.
I'm trying to think of like, I'm sorry?
That's beautiful. That's that concept. Yeah.
Thank you. Or like you'd see like I don't know, a makeup brush, and you'd be like, oh, that's a woman's object. You know what I mean? That's for a woman. You know, I wanted to like show that like even inanimate objects have gender roles, and they shouldn't. You know. That's
crazy, right? Like I'm thinking about every object in my room right now, and it's like, how much have I been indoctrinated at this point?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you'd see like a video game console, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's like dude, you know,
that's
like,
a dude
object. You know, it's kind of like in languages, you have like masculine and feminine conjugates or whatever, and then I feel like that could be the same thing with objects. So
Yeah, why not? I mean, I didn't really think about it until now. And I really didn't know that's what Pink Guns was referring to. I thought it was more like stop the violence kind of thing. Like, cause I figured, oh, maybe she was referring to maybe murders that were like out of control or something, you
well,
know?
that's the beautiful thing about art, is that you can totally
100%.
interpret it your own way, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
actually really like that interpretation as well, though.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. This is beautiful. And who knows, there's probably millions of more of like how other people saw it too. Oh, interesting. So when exactly did art become like something that you knew that was very near and dear to your heart? You said you were younger when you started, but everyone kind of has like a pivot where they're like, I like this a lot, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's like so weird because literally ever since I was like very little, my mom was always buying me paint kits, and I was always creating something. Like I would be in the backyard tying sticks together and being like sculpture, you know, and like this is art. And I don't know. I remember too when I was maybe like around, I don't know, maybe like 6 years old. I remember telling my mom, "Oh, I want to be an artist. Like this is it." Like I was always creating. I was like, I might as well be an artist. And she, like, her being the Filipino American mom that she is, she was like, you know, maybe we can think of something else that makes money. And and I remember like that like shifted everything, and I was like, oh my god, I need to find like an actual thing that I like. And I was like so young, and I remember being like, okay, you know what, I like history. Indiana Jones, archaeologist, that's the route I'm going. And for about maybe a good 5 years, I was like, Indiana Jones, I don't care, like I'm going down, I love history, I'm going to be Indiana Jones. And then it wasn't until I went to my mom enrolled me into this arts middle school called it's in San Diego, and it's called Creative Performing Media Arts. And I basically did I had a bunch of electives. Like I had multimedia, I had what did I have? I had like stage crew as like an elective.
That's impressive.
And
I had none of those things in middle school. Maybe drama if I was lucky.
oh,
Cool.
yeah, no, I went to a special school that like had all these different like classes, and lots of painting and art. And then when it came to like 8th grade, when I had to go to high school, I didn't really like any of the other high schools that were available in my area because they were like kind of bad. And so the only other arts high school was like the sister school to that middle school, and so I auditioned to go to that school so that so I could continue like perfecting like my craft, and you know, just like figuring out my style as an artist. And so I went to this arts high school after that. And this arts high school, they actually have like majors. So everyone had like you were required to have a major, and you had like classes that focused around that. So then you would have like, they had dance, theater, and I was in visual arts. And then you were required to have like a portfolio or performance at the end of your 4 years in this high school. And yeah, and so
That's cool.
definitely was not grateful for it at the time, because obviously high school.
Is anybody?
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't wait to get out of there. Like it's like
that's all you can think about. And then after you leave, you're like, oh, I have to pay rent now.
Oh my god, this is scary. Can we go back?
Yeah. Oh.
So this has been ingrained in you since very young. What was your highlights of that period, in your opinion?
Highlights during that as a kid, like as an artist.
Or just coming into artistry, like did you ever get excited for something you remember? Like, I remember when I did that project, and that's really gave me goosebumps when I did it, you know?
It's actually funny. A lot of the artwork that I released for my apparel was actually made in high school. Like I have this one piece called Vague, and it's basically like this woman, she has like blank black eyes, and her body is a skeleton, and then there's a title that says Vague on it that's supposed to represent Vogue. And it's basically supposed to represent the negative outcomes of the beauty and fashion industry. And I feel like all my experiences as a teenager were really affected by like unrealistic beauty standards, just like a lot of women, and I mean men as well. And I feel like especially in high school, being the angsty teenager I was, and also having these unrealistic beauty standards, and then also having at the time I had this boyfriend for the entire my entire teenage life, and he was not the friendliest, and definitely did not make me feel the most secure teenager. So a lot of my artwork is actually based on like that pain of like wanting to meet his standards and society standards. So I just feel like
that's the juxtaposition right there. You have like these two worlds colliding, and it made this what you're referring to. Interesting.
Yeah.
So this comes from a personal interaction. Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I was actually really nervous to do this interview because I get so weird about talking about like
you're doing
my
great.
artwork because
you're doing I'm enjoying every moment. This is great. I'm sure whoever's listening too is appreciating it too, because I'm sure they have some interest in art. So the more the merrier. Feel free. This is an open space.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, I was nervous because I would have to be vulnerable to talk about my personal
yeah, I kind of jumped in there. I apologize if I'm
no, it's a good thing you did, because if you delayed it, I'd probably like get nervous and throw up. So
okay, well, we don't want that to happen, so that's cool. Well, this kind of leads us into the whole power portrait, right? In some sense.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so obviously my artwork does have a lot of like pain reflected in them, and I wanted to create like commission pieces for mainly women to just like have their own portrait done of themselves, to like really see like the beauty that they are, because there's something so powerful seeing a painting of yourself that someone made of you, and that they put like a effort and hours and love into this painting for you, that when you see it, that you can feel that the love that they put into it, you know, and you're just kind of like, I look like that. That's like actually how I look like. That's me, and you see me for me. And you know,
it's good points. Yeah. Because that whole time you thinking a million things at this time, right? Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. And then someone actually draws you out or portrait, makes a portrait of yourself, and you're like, that's right, I do look cool. You know, it's like,
I am a bad bitch, but
yeah, like and you have it now. Oh, that's cool. So was that always part of the plan as far as like coming out with starting out this year?
No, it's actually really funny. Somebody who was it? This dance instructor I know, she actually requested for me to do a commissioned piece of her, and she's like, yeah, I just want to support you in your art. And I was so in shock, because that just kind of meant like someone out there liked what I did, because you know, it's one thing for your friends to tell you, oh yeah, like you're an amazing artist.
I'm joking. Shout out to your friends.
Yeah, because it's one thing for your friends to say something about your work, or like your mom, and then there's another thing for when like someone you don't really know, and like basically like an acquaintance or stranger, tell you that they like your work. It's kind of like, oh, that's validation.
I like this. I got a dopamine hit just now.
yeah. Exactly. And so so she asked me to do a piece, and then after I finished hers, it just kept rolling. Like I just kept getting like commission after commission, and so I figured, like, I guess I'm just gonna make this a thing now. And I feel like every time I did it, I did get the dopamine hit too. Like every time I gave the painting to the other person and seeing their face, I think it was just like so rewarding that it's partially a great experience for me.
Yeah, so, especially as an artist, right? We're usually critiqued heavily, like in school and everything. You draw something out of line, you know, finally you get some recognition. You're like, I knew I had something this whole time. You know, it feels good. Yeah, absolutely. Is it necessary? Is it something that you not to get addicted to? I think we all kind of get addicted to it, but is this something that, how do you discipline yourself in that sense? I'm just curious because you are an artist. How do you not get like your head too far in, so to speak? Start gassing yourself up.
When doing my work?
When do you do? I guess maybe after, because when you're doing it, you're kind of I would say you're pretty genuine to the art itself. But maybe after, is it after? Like, how do you know when someone's really liking your work versus someone who's just saying it? In a sense, because it can get to your head after a while, right? Someone keeps saying you're great, you start feeling really good after a while.
Yeah, it's really funny you say that, because like yes, I know I have skill to an extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't believe sometimes in myself, and
do you feel like an imposter?
It's a process, this imposter syndrome is bad.
It's deep, right? It's deeply rooted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll get into childhood traumas later in this, but but yeah, no, I honestly, I'll never know, and that's okay. Fine with me.
That's cool.
I don't need to know. Yeah, I mean, usually people say really nice things, and and then sometimes people will post about it, sometimes they won't, and
I'm always waiting for that hate mail to come through. Like, damn, this is gonna be the day. They didn't like something I did. But it's like, and it's funny because it feels the direct opposite of great, right? It just feels horrible, right? And then you realize, wait a second, why am I getting so built? Why am I getting so burned out over this, right? I wasted like 10, 20 minutes, maybe my whole day on this one person's comment. So it's super helpful to just like maybe like put the blinders up in some sense, but sometimes it's good though. Like sometimes you need a kick in the ass, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's also like to each its own, right? It's art. So like, I feel like everyone has their own opinion about everything anyway. So it's like, you might as well do your own thing.
Exactly. I mean, it's as cliche as it might sound, like sometimes you just got to be you and just sing your own tune, so to speak. But like, do you ever have a moment where you feel like how do you regenerate yourself, right? Because we're not always perfect every moment of the day, right? We sometimes we just need something to do to kind of get our minds off, or maybe. And what would you say that's like your regeneration? It's everyone's kind of different. Like some people exercise, which I know is another thing that you're also big into as well recently, which is awesome. Kudos to you. Feel free to give a plug there too if you like. I mean, it is you, so.
Yeah. So like basically how to regenerate to keep motivated in my craft.
Mm-hmm. Because people think like artists are just like naturally flowing all day. Like there's a constant faucet that just pours out of us every day. But that's not always the case. I mean, some people are like that, like a Kanye West probably, or somebody, Picasso maybe. I don't know. But that's not everybody, Most of us, we have our moments.
That's a very interesting question. I don't know. I think I spent, because I actually, after high school, I took a 5-year hiatus from art, just life got ahead of me, and I was studying for my bachelor's, and I just got so busy that like I just took a break from painting and drawing, and I just feel like now that I am starting Daz NYC, and I am getting back into painting and art, that like I have kind of like locked all of like that inspiration for the last 5 years in a vault in my head, and so I think it's ready to just come out. And so I think as of 2020, I'm in that free flow right now.
You acting like 2020 right now. You're just doing whatever you want to do right now.
That's right.
I mean, why not? We have a finite amount of time on this world. We might as well live it to our best, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I definitely think that. I think that if this is so controversial, because I know I know people did have a rough 2020, but I feel like if you didn't do any soul searching during your 2020, you didn't do it right. If you didn't really look into your soul to find out what you wanted and what you wanted to prioritize, that you just wasted a whole year of complaining.
That's on you. Yeah, unless you were doing with some extra stuff, like if you were like a nurse or something, you just got no time to be thinking all that. Then by all means, yeah. But I get what you said. Exactly. Like, you know, but like on a real though, like if you're not doing that soul searching, you kind of make an excuse. You definitely have, you could write excuse on your forehead at this point. So every time you look in the mirror, you know what you're doing. Because, you know, we can come up with a million excuses, right? Like, it's Friday, you know, I was thinking about going to that restaurant, but you know what? Maybe I should just stay. You know, we make 1,001 excuses, or we have 1,001 doubts that pop up. Sometimes we take other people's doubts and make it our own. Like, oh, that person said they were scared to do it, so I'm like, I don't want to go rock climbing. You know, it's like, and sometimes whoever that inner circle is, or maybe that social media feed that you're following, sometimes we don't notice how ingrained it becomes in our daily life. And you're like, damn, maybe I should just not, you know, maybe I should just try something, you know, just give it a chance, you know? Do you ever get caught in that rut of just like, I don't know, there's something don't feel right. I got to just jump out a little bit, see what's up, you know?
Yeah. No, I especially like with this year, I feel like a lot of people, like just because like their traveling plans got canceled, or like they didn't get to have like a real baby shower, they just like thought it was like the end of the world. And it's kind of like there's so much things going on right now, and like we're all part of like this bigger plan. And you know, I feel like people just didn't take the chance to look in and prioritize them.
Yeah, I think it's scary for a lot of people too. Like, I know I was pretty, like during this pandemic, I was feeling real confident. I was just starting this podcast all over again after 3 years. And I was like, damn, pandemic. Well, I can either do two things right now. I can either go forward, or I can just say pandemic.
You pivoted. Exactly.
Yeah. But I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you what pivot though. I thought, I was going to be honest with you, that first week when we got locked down, I was like, I don't know. Like, I can't visit anybody now. I can't do this in person. So I guess I'll do it virtual. I'm like, man, and that's been like one of my number one like drawbacks. I'm like, I don't want to do it virtually. Like, it's so impersonal. I was thinking like all the like weird things that happen. Like, you can't hear somebody 100%. And it's always like this weird lag going on. But after like a month of that, I was like, I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm here doing this, you know? But
yeah, no, this is awesome. Cool. Good for you.
Because I see you out in the streets. You out there. You pushing your work out there. Was that nervous for you? Like, because given all the health concerns?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I was a part of a few different Filipino markets with Barkada Market, and there are a lot of people that show up, and which is kind of nerve-wracking. But it was just so hard to say no to something like this, and to get my artwork out there, and to be a part of like this community. And so, you know, I did it. I made a lot of like new connections, which was really awesome too. Shout out to Fob.
What's that like? What's it like being out with a community of people who are also doing apparel as well, and probably other goods and services? I noticed you just posted recently a friend of yours candle line, which is really cool. I would love to check that out later. But what is it like to be on like in the street, actually meeting, you know, people one-on-one?
It's really interesting because then you can actually physically talk to people about your work, and basically, and just like get their opinion and just see their reactions, rather than like posting online and not knowing what people think. You know, you don't know what's happening on the other side of the screen, and then being able to like actually physically see people was like so interesting. But I loved it, honestly. Like, doing these markets make me so happy because I mean, like, the reactions are usually positive.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I'm glad that people are showing up. I'm glad people are, you know, it's just supporting, you know, during these times. Like, you know, they could have easily just stood home, right? And just like, I don't know, just press the like button, you know. That's pretty much the most of their advocacy. But with your work, I noticed that it takes on more than just stuff like maybe like I call it selfish art, like in a sense, like things that you're only interested in. But in your sense, you have a lot of social elements to you. You talked about body positivity, you talked about social injustices. Like I noticed that these are the pillars, so to speak, of a lot to your work. Do you feel like that without them, you wouldn't have Daz NYC?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So when I was in high school creating all my artwork, my so we have to put together basically like an exhibition gallery of your work, and most exhibitions you have to like have like some sort of theme to it, and my theme was always body positivity and women empowerment. Just because of everything I was dealing with my horrible boyfriend at the time, and and just being a teenager and having all this anxiety. And so and then ever since then it was just kind of like what I stand for. Everything I've done since high school has been for these things. Like I used to work for a civil rights law firm because I just really believed in like fighting for our Black and Brown communities, and I was their legal assistant. So that's how I like supported social injustices. And then I recently worked for shout out SAS Class. Yeah, so I worked for SAS Class, which is a women's empowerment dance studio, as their as the assistant to the CEO/founder. So ever since then, these were always the things I wanted to base my like role in this world out of, you know.
That's super. I've had a hat on, I would tip it, but that's amazing. I mean, because not everyone gets in. Some people do things because of a trend. They do things because it's just, it's the popular thing to talk about right now. It's and they figure, why not make a few bucks off of it, right? But in your sense, I always got like a more genuine aspect to your work, and you can tell. And anybody who goes check out your website or your Instagram, you can automatically see that there's an extra layer of care that's part of it, and it's not just there to just make money. Even though I wish you very well, please make as much money as you can off your art. But it's cool because it's like those two worlds don't always coexist, right? That juxtaposition doesn't always exist. Sometimes sometimes you might be in a confliction with yourself or with the work that you're doing, but you really want to do that, but you can't right away. And it's sort of that moment where these two beautiful things come together, and you're like, I finally feel more at peace with my soul, at least, So did you feel like, did you break out of your peanut shell at this point when you launched this officially? Or did it just feel like just another thing that you accomplish and you feel like this is cool, but we'll see where it goes?
Yeah, I think I am just trying to see where it goes.
Cool. I mean, that's the best we could do at this point.
Yeah. I'm just in this flow right now, and all I want to do is just create and like have a voice for people who don't have voices, and just for myself. And I think I'm just figuring it all out. It's not something I think I'm trying to scale exactly. It's just something that like is for mostly for me, to be honest. It makes me happy to see people wear my artwork and feel connected to it in some type of way. And also if they find it pretty, that's cool too.
Okay, scenario time. You see someone in the street walking with your artwork. What's the first reaction?
I would die. I would just pass out completely.
She needs CPR. But no,
I would definitely like probably tackle the person and be like, hi, I'm actually the person that made your shirt. Like, please take a photo with me.
Who is this lady? You know her?
All over them.
That is so cool.
Exactly.
Have you ever had a moment where someone recognized you and you're like, who do I know you from?
Oh,
you had that starstruck moment yet? Okay.
So yeah, someone did recognize me, and I was like, wait, what? So I went. She apparently saw me at a previous market that I was at, that had nothing to do with the current market I was at. And she came to my booth and she was like, I know you. And I was like,
do you? In what capacity?
Yeah. I was like, oh.
We're going to need social ID and your birth certificate, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, no, I know you from the other market. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, you were packing up. And so I saw you like for a brief second in your work, but I loved your work, and I was planning to try to see you in the
Mm-hmm.
next market you did. So I followed you on Instagram, and then I found you here today. And I'm like,
Wow, that's pretty cool.
and then she ended up buying some artwork too, and then she bought from my site as well. So that was kind of cool.
That's nice. Now, I want to just put this out there, everybody. Is it true or false? You do portraits of pets?
Yeah, I do.
What? That's
That actually,
intense.
it started as like
Mm-hmm.
just like I did it as a birthday gift
Mm-hmm.
for a friend of mine, and so I painted her cat, and it was so sweet. She like loved it so much, and like the cat even liked it, and
That's so cool.
and she like would post all these videos of the cat
Mm-hmm.
looking at it, and it was like really sweet. And so ever since then, I was like, I guess I paint pets now.
I guess that's me. I'm a cat painter now. I'm curious. Like, do you get like a photo of them, then do it, or do you see them in like in the real world and then you do something?
It's usually a photo.
A photo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, all my portraits are usually photos that I paint from as reference.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm very nitpicky with my work, so it takes me a really long time, and so I would never want anyone to stand there and wait for me to finish. Yeah.
They're drooling. They're so hungry.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Oh wow. So because I was thinking for a second, maybe she actually goes to their house and then she just has them sit down with some treats and then like she'll try to like map it out really as fast as she can. Because I'm trying to picture like because my dog can't sit still for like a minute, so I'm thinking like she got to be really. She's like a dog whisperer or something, or yeah. That's
Yeah. No,
cool.
there's no way.
Okay, so there's actually
Definitely
ways of doing
photos.
this that are better. Okay. I work smart, not hard, right?
There we go.
Cool. This is interesting. So when you introduce yourself to people, how do you usually do it? Because you like you said, you've done a lot of things over your life. You're involved in a lot of different areas. How do you? Does it depend on the person that you're speaking to?
So as you're like you're saying, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, like if I were to introduce myself at a party, it'd be like, hi,
Yeah,
I'm Dasmine, and I'm XYZ.
yeah. Or would
Oh,
it go down
there's no
differently than that?
XYZ.
Oh, okay. It's just hi. My name
I
is, and then you just.
just disappear from the party. I just go back home. Actually, no,
Mhm.
it's like it's so weird because I actually do a lot of things.
Mhm.
And there's just so many different areas in my life. Like I just became a certified like pit instructor. Yeah, so it's kind of like a Pilates hit instructor. And then now I just became an artist, and then I work as a graphic designer at a marketing firm,
Mhm.
and then I just do a million things. And so I don't really have an identifier, so to speak.
I feel like that's sort of like, if I can say modern take on humanity, right? More people are coming out like, I'm a little bit of everything. Like before it used to be, I'm this. I'm an author. I'm whatever art you were into, that you say, I'm that. I'm this. And then you really didn't dabble into anything else. And if it was considered like a hobby, or it wasn't seen as, oh, that's not their important stuff. That's just stuff they do for fun. But
Yeah.
in this world, I love it because everyone's sort of like, no, I could master 10 things if I wanted to. If I really put my heart and soul into it, in my mind, I could do it. And I think that's great. I love that because it's hard for people to grasp. So it's hard for some people to grasp that you do multiple things. They're like, how do you have time for all of it? Are you good at all of them? Like it starts to become like this scaling thing that we were mentioning before. It's like, well, why? And then those people are they're kind of like outdated. They're outdating themselves in some degree because I'm sure it is that they have multiple things that they want to try. So I guess it gives us more encouragement, especially if you're an inspired artist, like to not feel like limited to just do one thing. You want to do graphic design, cool. You want to work at you want to also do journalism, cool. Whatever it is that floats your boat. Did you ever
It's
feel
actually
like,
funny.
yeah, what we saying? Yeah.
Oh no, it's actually funny that you say that because like when I was first starting Dasmine is that I was identifying myself as a portrait painter. And whenever anyone asked me what kind of art I did, I'm like, oh, I do portrait painting. But then I started to realize that like I don't want to just be known for that. I just want to be known as an artist. And when I got the job at the marketing firm as a graphic designer,
mm-hmm.
I'm not a graphic designer. I actually have zero experience in graphic design. But I mean, they don't need to know that. And so because like I told them like the reason why I'm applying for this job is because I want to be able to learn, and I want to be able to learn on the job. And
mm-hmm.
they liked what I had to say, and so they hired me as their non-experienced graphic designer.
That's probably the best but best technique or strategy for anyone who's looking for a job during the pandemic. Just tell them exactly what you just said, and they'd be like, I'm going to bet my money on this person. Because think about it. For someone to jump into something and is enthusiastic and never has done it before, they're probably the best person to mold. They're probably the best person to like just float new ideas to. They're not kind of like stuck in their ways, so to speak. And you're probably like a fresh of good air. What's the expression? But fresh
breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air. There you go.
Close.
Almost there. But yeah, I mean, congratulations. That's amazing. Because I was like, wait a second, you don't have graphic. And then you said, no, and then you explained it. So that's really good. So I don't know. You're just breaking a lot of barriers today with this podcast, because people can watch this and be like, damn, this whole time I thought I had to like learn how to do this software, this and that, and Adobe Premiere. And I don't know. I don't know what that is, but
it's called YouTube and TikTok now.
There you go. And the fact that you're getting it from TikTok is just wild. You know, that's good.
That's my schooling.
Yeah, that's how we do it now. You don't. Yeah.
Real Gen X or Gen Z.
It is what it is. Hey, however people are learning, I'm cool with that. That's awesome. They want to dance and do it. I'm cool with that. I have no problem with that. Because I used to think it was just dance videos on TikTok until I saw like other cool stuff in there. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, they show you how to like buy an apartment. They have crazy stuff on there.
Hey, if people are learning things that are productive for their life, then by all means, if it's easier for them to do it that way, that's great. You know, because I'll be honest with you, I don't like, it's funny. I do everything at home now because of the podcast, but for the most part, education wise, I can't be in a room by myself. Or with a group of people. It's just like sitting down, reading a book. Like I could do it on my own time, like to be somewhere physically. It was tough for school. Let's just put it that way. It was rough.
I get it. I'm
a hands-on. I have to, like you said, like I want to be in the mix. Just throw me in the pool. I'll learn how to swim. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I told the marketing firm, is that like I will learn. I am willing to learn, and I will get it done.
With that enthusiasm and that level of drive, like, yo, Hassan, just get her in already. Like, you know, sometimes it's just that you just need to be willing. Like you said, willingness. It goes all back to what you were saying before, the willingness.
Yes.
Woo! We talked a lot.
Yes.
We mentioned a lot about your brand. I have one last question for you, unless you want to extend it. That's totally fine. I'm not going to limit our podcast, but I have a question here that I think is a nice segue. If you could confront your greatest fear or challenge in life, how would you do it? I think you kind of did it already, but you tell me.
This one, this is such a hard question.
Yeah, I like it for last.
I mean, my greatest like fear is always going to be failure.
Failure, that's the big one. That's a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always going to be failure, but like just accepting that like there is no real way to fail in life, that is the only way to confront it. Like accepting that like there is no way to fail, you know?
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like it's always a lesson. It's a lesson learned, and you move on.
Yeah.
And if you're smart enough and brave enough, courageous enough, you take those learnings and you do something cool with it. You know.
Exactly, because if something doesn't work out, it's like it's not even because like you failed. It's just because that's not your path. It's just because you need to, you know, pivot into a different direction, and life is trying to lead you a different way. And yeah.
Absolutely. I think failure is so scary to even, I think to me as well. I think failure is scary because it seems like an end. It sounds like something that's final. And I think that's where the myth is. Like, that's where it's at. It's like there's nothing about this that is final. Like the day will change to the next day. Monday will become Tuesday, and Tuesday will become Wednesday, and the sun will come up. Hopefully, hopefully nothing crazy happens. But for the most part, it's been coming up for billions of years. So I think another day will pass. And I think people think that. Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh, no, I just think that like a lot, like with failure, a lot of people are like scared about like, because they associate failure with like what other people think about them. And at the same time, it's like, who gives a shit? Like,
you got to have that who gives a shit attitude though, because that's what protects you. It's like your armor. Deep down, you care. Oh, yeah. We all know we care, but you need something to protect you from those asteroids of, failure, doubt, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. And it's also like, no, like everyone is also so focused on themselves right now, or like all the time. Everyone is just always focused on themselves and what they're doing, that like, what does it matter if you failed or not, because people are still going to worry about themselves anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the time that they put into a post about you or something like that, or just told you in the street, listen, they got so many other things on their mind right now. It probably wasn't even about you, so that's why when I find people so angry about certain people, it's like, okay, I get it, but like maybe you have like a love-hate relationship with this thing or this person, because at this point it's like it's eating you, it's consuming you at this point. So it's like, I don't know, it's sometimes I think people enjoy it, they just low-key don't tell you, I don't. Yeah, I mean, because if you're really interested in something, right, you don't have time for the nonsense, right? If you're trying to learn how to do something on TikTok, right, that's where you're gonna be. You're not gonna be, banging your neighbor's door, telling them that the music's too loud or whatever the case may be. You're just gonna be focused on that, or reading a good book or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So what does someone like you do for fun, for their free time? Because it seems like all the things you do normally seem really fun and engaging. So, or do you do something extremely boring afterwards, or you just start doing calculus? I mean, shout out to calculus people who are into that. No offense, it's not boring to you. Just most people, maybe. I don't know. So, I don't like. Or you're pretty satisfied with what you do. You don't really need an outside thing.
Ooh, I mean, it's all still work at the end of the day, right? But I think, what do I do for fun?
Like random. Like for me, I just go for walks. I do love
dancing.
Yeah. Dancing, cool.
Yeah. So I do love dancing. That's a good outlet on the side that like requires like no real work. And then also just passing out and sleeping.
Enjoying. Speaking of passing out, which has nothing to do with the next question, you have or you had in the past pots. You had pots, and what exactly? Can you say the title of it? Because I know I'm messing it up right now. It's a cute
potheads.
Potheads. There we go. I was on it. Potheads. This is when I saw that, I'm like, now there we're talking. Yes, that's exactly. Yes, that's it. Potheads. And you make it and you sell those too?
Yeah, I took a break from selling them for a while because I wanted to focus on apparel. But I mean, I have them. I have a bunch of them too, and
that's so cool.
They give life to your plants.
That's so creative. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to explain to people, whoever's listening. Like, you kind of do it all, and you're probably going to do more on top of that. So kudos to you and everything that you accomplished so far, because like you just started, and this is amazing. Some people never quite get to the pothead part, like they get to everything else, but they never make the pothead. It just never happens.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug while we're here, or further discuss, or just make clear for the audience?
Yeah, so you can follow me at daz.nyc on Instagram, and you can shop my apparel and artwork at www.daznyc.com.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving your plugs. Thank you for showing us your potheads. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for educating us on how you got through this and how you're still going through it. And yeah.